Well, hello, everybody. This is Jennifer. I am live on Facebook with you today for day number 3 of our series. I hope you guys can hear me okay today. I'm actually using a new mic. Yay, I'm so excited. I got a new mic. And I know that today is one of the most important days to me. It's what drives my every, waking hour. It's around how do we as human beings actually stop being a victim of our circumstances, of the world, of the powers that be? And how do we actually feel the confidence and the clarity to go forward in life and create the future that we often feel inside is possible, but we don't know often how to get there? Have you felt that way? Like, sometimes you just feel this incredible drive that the world can be a better place. But there's a strange sensation of, I can feel that to be true, but I have no idea where to even start. Do you know? And so today we're going to talk about, where do we start? It's not just about the world, because the world is made up of, well, I just saw a statistic that said 7 billion people, 777,777,777 people. Okay. So if that's how many people there are right now, then it's each of those individual lives that have to come into alignment. It starts with each of us. It doesn't start with an overwhelming task. It actually starts with the task of knowing that you individually can actually have a life and can learn the skills. Or if you've already learned them, you can master them. Or if you already mastered them, you can actually do something with those skills. Okay, so it's the skills to be able to thrive, like we talked about yesterday. So if you haven't listened to day 2, please go back and listen to day 2, because it's about thriving communication, right? It's about you. One of the things you cannot do if you are not understanding about why and how to create the future that you desire for your individual life, you cannot communicate from positionality, from self-importance, and from trying to manipulate and control. It just won't happen. Well, it may happen over time, but it'll happen with a lot of effort, and you will also not be magnetic to that which it is that you desire, because magnetics, exponentiation of the results in your life, happen when there's a purity of spirit and when there's a win-win attitude, where you're literally attempting to co-create something that wins for you and wins for the other person, right? So today is all about, what does the world look like? Therefore, what does your world look like? Can we co-create something different than the world that has been? And I hope by the end of today, which will be a little bit longer, it might be 18 to 22 minutes, but by the end of today, that you feel in your cells how possible it is that your world could be different. Because I'm going to talk about physics. I'm going to talk about fractals. I'm going to talk about science that irrefutably says that this world can be a different place. And I'm going to talk about it in a way that by the end, you will be so excited to master the skills, which we talk about. We'll talk about 3 skills that will put you in such tremendous flow towards a future, either for your life, and if you're ready to assist and be a contribution to create a different world, because the world is ready, then you can use those same skills to actually create a different family, create different energy in your family, manifest on a vision, et cetera, et cetera. Those same skills can be used anywhere. They can be used in your company. It doesn't matter. All right. So here we go. Oh, I see my friend Kim from England. Yay. So everyone who's listening right now, if you can type in where you're calling in from, I would love to hear your biggest struggle in actually manifesting what you know is possible for your life? What's the area that you struggle the most with? Where do you have the most issue? That would be one thing. The second is, what is a skill that you're really good at when it comes to creating a future that you feel is possible? And the last one is, where do you actually suck? Where do you get stopped? I don't mean you suck, but your skills suck. Your ability to use those skills suck. Because what we're going to do is in our follow-up, when I am, we're probably going to do a follow-up to this Facebook Live series. I'm going to take all your questions and we're going to go through them one by one. So I want you to utilize this time, because I've spoken with hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world. And in speaking to those hundreds of thousands of people, there is more commonality amongst us than there is difference. And you know that, or you wouldn't even be listening to this right now. Our televisions, our political leaders, all of those people might say that there are tremendous difference and even might be advertising about it. But this particular Facebook Live, my particular life is given to, where are all the bridges? Where do we meet? As Rumi said, where is the field that we meet, where we all come together? And today is all about the field where we all meet and how we can dance together in that field and co-create exponential results in your life and in this world, therefore, that are catalyzed by the craziness. The craziness is actually the catalyst. As many of you are aware, the craziness that's happening right now is the greatest gift for getting people off their butts. And you're here, so you got off your butt, All right, you guys, how do we do this? Number one, I want to share a little story with you. It's about a 12-year-old who asked the best question I've ever heard. And he asked the question within a room full of about 50 adults, all over 40 years old, one of them being his mom. This 12-year-old, after I finished talking about what I'm about to talk about, he put up the fractals and physics and how we can utilize the power of our direct connection with life to actually skip the linear results. People ask, how is this all good? There's so much to change. How can we possibly change? And I hear this all the time. How can we possibly change everything? And so this kid, this guy, this gorgeous being, this 12-year-old he asked, without even being able to see his face, in the back of the room, he put up his hand, I barely saw it, and he asked this best question. He said, Jennifer, with all of the manipulation and all of the things going against humanity, sometimes I feel overwhelmed. He said, when I see those in power, sometimes I feel like they're not doing what's in our best interest. So what do we do? And my answer came from the deepest part of my soul. I remember this. I remember the question. I remember the 12-year-old. I remember everything as clear as day. And my answer was this. The answer is in your question, young man. The answer is in your question because you said, what do you do when the people in power sometimes don't have our best interests at heart? I said, the problem is you think they're in power of you. And he looked at me and I looked at him and I said, they're not in control or power of you. You are the one in power. There are so many stories of so many leaders, one single person like Gandhi, who changed an entire country. That was one person. Imagine if we all got together. So this is a time of great change. This is a time where a lot of your friends and family are dying. This is a time where the people that are in different socioeconomic status are having more trouble by far. It's putting a light on the issues with how we treat each other that way in society. It's putting a light on how clean the air can get, how quickly, how clean the water can get, how quickly. So I want you to type in right now, because this is going to form our catalyst. The first thing, now you're going to think, Jennifer, why are we talking about this? What is the most disturbing thing? Okay, what is the most disturbing thing that you've seen? The thing that has bothered you the most. And I don't want you to be righteous. I don't want you to give energy. It's just, I saw this thing where somebody did this and it really bothered me because that's not the way I see things. Don't give it political energy. Don't give it, we're not giving anything energy. Right below it, I want you to reply to your own post. And what you're going to reply is, what is the clarity that this contrast gave you? In other words, either creation loves us or it doesn't. Either the universe is omnipotent, omniscient, and wants to create upon itself more of heavenly flow, or it doesn't. The fastest way that I know to create anew is to put a magnifying glass on that which doesn't work, and then use that to clarify what it is that is desired. Most people, when they witness what doesn't work, what they do is they feel the disempowerment of, how could somebody do that to me? But you see, if the entire universe thought you were a good idea and put you on this planet, then you're a piece of the puzzle of heaven on earth. And if indeed the universe actually loves you, if indeed you are a creation that is meant to be a creator, an extension of source energy, a finger of the hand of God, however you want to language it, then the only reason from that loving source of all things, the only reason for contrast would be solely to get clarity on what you want to create. Why would it exist any other way? But human beings have mistakenly interpreted contrast as something that's supposed to beat us down, because we've been so taught to feel disempowered and to give our power away to forces that other people say are people that are bigger, people that are smarter, people that are older. But the greatest genius I know is you. The greatest genius I know is someone who's connected to their own wisdom. And your own wisdom would come from taking some of your deepest pains and writing out the clarity it gives you. What is it that you do desire if that's what you don't desire? So write out what you don't desire, but the only reason you have it, so this is skill number one. Skill number one is to take the pains that you have, the irritations, the frustrations. Notice what you don't like about them and create clarity on what you do want. I want you to notice what you write down, because if consciousness is constantly giving you contrast in order to create what you want, then you must have been put on the planet for that clarity and to be a part of that shift. There can be no other way. And hi, Andy Perry. So, my question to you right now is, once you have the clarity, what happens is people say, well, I don't know what to do with that, which I'm about to talk about the beginnings of that, okay? So the next three subjects I'm going to discuss, and as I said before, for those of you that are just joining us, welcome. Probably one of the most important discussions I ever have with anyone is what's going to happen right now. If you have questions, I would love you to write them down. If you have friends that feel disempowered or that feel like they want to know what to do with all this energy they have going through them, but they have no place to put it, this is the discussion for that. Okay, so the place we start is, you're a creator. If you're experiencing contrast, that contrast is giving you clarity about what is desired, and that is the only reason you have contrast. If you spend any more time complaining about it or being opinionated or gathering other people who agree with you about it, that's nice, but it will not change your life and it will not change someone else's. So if you are committed to your opinion, this is not the place for you. However, if you're going to use it to catalyze action, then this is the place for you. All right? Okay. So now I said 3 things we're going to talk about that are 3 things that are probably the most important thing if you're going to create a different life for yourself or a different future for humanity. If you create a different life for yourself, you will therefore change humanity. This is why. First of all, fractals. So there was a mathematician who developed a theory. And the theory that he developed, which I will put in the comments below if anyone wants to read more information about it. I also put a video of what fractals look like. But if you imagine, fractals are sort of like this idea. Now just imagine, he proved it using math that everything is a pattern within and everything else. So if you imagine it like embedded dolls, right? Everything is if you change the original pattern, all the other dolls have to change. That's what fractals are like. So in existence, he proved mathematically that if you change one thing, everything else has to change. Now, let's just show a scientific version of that. If we look at us, I have a body. Then after I have a body, I have the next smallest thing is organs. After organs, I have cells. After cells, I have molecules. After molecules, I have atoms. After atoms, I have protons, neutrons, electrons. Now, I can tell you right now, if I change something in the atom, the molecule will change, the cell will eventually change, the organ will eventually change, and my entire body will look different. If I change something, I change like a couple of thousand cells in my liver, that liver is going to change, my skin color is going to change, a bunch of stuff's going to change. So that's how fractals work. You take the smallest portion of something, you change that, and everything related to it must change. So that's the first idea that you need to know at. Mathematically proven, very interesting science, and I just wanted to talk about that. So imagine that in a fractal universe, there is no time and space, meaning if you change one thing, everything has to change. It's like if you change one molecule or one drop of water in the ocean, every other drop of water in the ocean has to rearrange itself around that one drop. That's how much power you have. So number one, fractal universe, one thing change, everything changes. Now, let's talk about photon packages of light. So many years ago, about 12 years ago, long before other people were talking about photons as it relates to us, our consciousness, making change in our life, et cetera, a weird thing started happening to me. I started studying this German and this Russian scientist, and both of them started to come up with this crazy stuff that said plants give off photon packages of light. And they give off frequency. And I thought, they give off photon packages of light. Why? And there are theories, both of them, they had a theory that that's the way plants, one of the ways, aside from just, fungus in the ground, they commune with each other. They talk to each other through these frequencies, through these photons. Now, I just wanted to know that that was true. So unbeknownst to me, I went to Italy, and I stayed at one of the first places that hooked plants up to diodes and showed how trees talk to each other. So all of a sudden, there was this orchestra in the forest as they hooked up all these trees, and they were all singing. Now, that wasn't from photons, that was from a different kind of energy. But then as I read more, I realized that there were people doing studies that human beings gave off photon packages of light too. And as I studied it, I realized that one of the reasons why we have instincts, or one of the reasons why we walk into a room and you kind of have a sense of who you like and who you don't like. I always wondered about this. How do dogs know that you're a good person? Like, what am I giving off? Some people might say pheromones. And I'm like, no, it's deeper than that. And as I worked with my clients and I started to be able to see what was going on with them, I was thinking, why is it that I can actually know what happened to them at 5 years old? Why is it that I can see that that gland and organ is off? How is this happening? Because I don't have a pair of eyeballs. And all of a sudden I went, oh, wait a second. And this isn't about me. Lots of people feel instincts. If you're a parent, you feel instincts about your kids that you couldn't possibly know what they're doing over there, getting into trouble. You just know. So how do you know it? So I realized that in our bodies, 75 trillion cells are giving off photon packages of light. And this has been shown. It's been shown that your heart does, that your brain does, that there are photon packages of light emanating from you, and there are receptor sites on the outside of your cells. And so whenever I heard people talk about intuition or instinct, I always thought that it was baloney, because even though I was instinctual, but I didn't want to think of it as something woo-woo. I wanted to think of it as something scientifically explainable. And then I realized that photon packages of light travel around the earth 7 times in a second. 7 times in a second. So imagine that you're emanating the information about who you are and what you're up to in this world and what you believe in at a rate of 75 trillion cells, give or take, times 7 times in a second. And that you're re-educating every single human being that has cells in them, which is everyone, about who you are and why you're here. And that as you do that, and as you change your world, it actually changes everyone's world. Because as you build bridges to a new possibility for your life, those bridges are contained in those photons. So in other words, the mechanics of changing your life as you change your life are languaged through the photons, go out into the stratosphere, and are available to everyone. Isn't that fascinating? And you change the quantum soup in which we swim and what is possible. So a fractal universe says that you can change one particle and all the other particles have to change and rearrange themselves around you. A photonic universe says that the information about who you are and what you're up to, and all of the ways that you've built new, let's say, pathways to home, to ease and flow, to more love in your life, to being able to have more compassion, to getting along more. The information about how to do that is available through those photons that you emanate from your own cells. Haven't you ever wondered about the 100th monkey theory? It's interesting, isn't it? So imagine that 100th monkey theory comes from the idea of photons. So are you starting to have a little bit more hope for humanity? See, what I found is one of the things that stops people from actually acting or being the change themselves. They convince themselves that their lives don't matter. But there is no one's life that matters more than yours. You saw Gandhi change the world. You've seen scientists catch up to information at the same time all the way around the world without even knowing each other. So the last is subatomic spaces. I mean, I would have given up hope a long time ago with what I get to see. I've been to third world countries. I've been all over the world. I can tell you, I would have given up hope a long time ago if I didn't know that these things are true. So the subatomic spaces. So Rumi, as I mentioned earlier, Rumi said that there's a field where we'll meet. Such a wise, wise man. And I hear a lot of people talking about oneness. In a 3-dimensional space, we are not one. We are individual humans. The place where we are one is in the subatomic spaces. That's where we understand each other. We know that we came from the creative force that makes worlds. And all of this information about fractals and photons and things that we haven't even talked about yet, or nobody's invented or seen yet, all of that information, even the information that has no language yet, is known in that field. And that's the place where we come together. I hesitate to use the word one because it's going to take each of our individual expressions together to make a difference in this world. So when that 12-year-old asked me that question, Jennifer, what about all the people in power? Well, if you give your power away to them, you won't have a chance of utilizing the power of fractals and photons and subatomic spaces where we all meet. So what are the skills? What are the skills associated with being able to be this powerful, with being able to flow with all of consciousness, without being able to create a different world for yourself and a different world in general? The skills involved, first of all, are the skills of utilizing contrast. I told you the first one already. Utilizing contrast to get clarity instead of utilizing the idea of contrast or what you perceive are negative things to cause you to be disempowered. If you give your power away to the things that you find suboptimal in this world, you are just giving your energy to a fractal universe. You're giving your energy to photon packages of light that say that I feel powerless. And for those of you that feel powerless, you can join me. Is that what you want to create? I wonder. The skill is to take the contrast and to actually create the clarity of what it is that you do want. Become skilled at that. The second skill set is, unless you've been doing this a long time, and this goes back to day one, unless you've been doing this a long time and you're a self-cleaning oven and you have embodied this knowledge, it is going to be super hard to do it by yourself. If you are someone that wants to be the change in this world, if you are someone that was born, you can feel the calling inside that this world can be different or your life can be different. Allow yourself to be catalyzed and then find a place where they're doing something that speaks to your heart and join it. Because whatever the entire universe thought you were a good idea, and it already knew in a non-time space reality the possibility of this time of huge contrast of air cleaning up and water cleaning up and people getting completely polarized and blaming each other and pointing fingers at the same time that other people are doing these wondrous things. People who have nothing are contributing so much, and the generosity that's ensuing. People are becoming so connected to their goodness. At the same time, there are others, but we're not focused on them. Look at how many are connected to goodness. And so are you. If you're here, if you're not, then you want to be. Find a place that you can contribute. Find a place that you can contribute and join it. One of the things that we'll be announcing soon is going to be it's a philanthropic venture that we're calling Agents of Awakening. Agents of Awakening will be people that are doing these things from all over the world that you can join, or if you're already in something, you can share about it and stories and pictures. You can inspire other people. You can pass on your skill sets that you've learned, but it's a place where every good project that's building bridges in this world, people who are being bridges, can go and share what's going on. And we're going to have theme-based action steps that we can all take together for those of you who don't know what to do. It's a place where we can come together. We haven't announced it yet, but we will. In the meantime, what we're doing is we're playing on the Wide Awakening Playground. It's facebook.com/TWA Playground. We'll also do the announcement on, because this is what I was catalyzed to. You understand? I was catalyzed to do something big enough that it would cause people from anywhere in the world, regardless of socioeconomic status, to be able to join and do something that makes the world a better place, regardless of time, space, how big your apartment is, whether you have a dog, whether you have a cat, right? Where we can come together in common good, not liberal, not conservative, not anything in between, don't care. It's a place where we get to be an agent of coming together. So we're doing that already on the TWA Playground. You can go and look for it online, and please join. Make sure you answer all the questions. But I want to give the second skill, okay? And then we're going to do the third skill, and then I'm going to give you homework, all right? If you have any questions, please make sure you ask. Okay, so we have the skill of contrast. The second skill is this. The second skill is we want you to, so when you're creating upon creation, you have to develop a skill of being able to imagine the future now. Why? This is another one of those science facts that I find so incredibly delicious. Do you know that when you imagine a future, the future, it doesn't even matter if that future happens. But when we go into a future, which we'll do right now, if everyone can imagine like a future that you can actually believe, that could be catalyzed, and some organizations that could be started because of the time that's happening right now. Organizations that are started about clean air, organizations that are started about how people can come together and understand each other, organizations about prisons, organizations about, oh gosh, even people dying and mourning. Organizations about how to cope with, COVID. So imagine all the organizations, put yourself into one that really speaks to you. And imagine 5 years from now, it actually is causing preventative measures. It's causing the air to be cleaner. It's causing people to come together that never would have known each other. It's causing a global shift. Your one organization or that one project you joined. Allow yourself to feel a part of it now, as if it's already happening. Imagine this, just even if it seems like a small shift, but imagine this shift making a difference in your world, in your community. It doesn't have to make a difference in the world, it will, but just in your world. And imagine that for 5 years, you've been sharing this beautiful project with people, and other people in other countries like Africa and Thailand have morphed it and made it even better. And how that makes you feel now. Let your biochemistry shift within you, because that's what happens when you allow yourself to see a different future. You embodying that physiological shift actually allows you to emanate the information about a different future, even though the future hasn't happened yet. And the photons of light about that future travel around the world 7 times in a second. You allowing yourself every day to come into that future possibility, allowing your biochemistry to shift, actually allows you to emanate the possibility of that future, and other people start catching up to it 7 times in a second. And you will start aligning with the ideas, because the universe, consciousness, God, creation, physics, don't care what you call it, will now respond to those photons that you're giving off, because it now knows that you're interested, but you have to be consistent. And that consistency gets responded to by consciousness. Will only be a few more minutes, you guys, but this is the second skill. It's the most important one. And consciousness will start giving you ideas, will start causing you to have ideas that are quantum leaps from where we've been. You can't complain about what is and get a different future. It just won't happen. It's not how physics works. So now I'm going to go from skill 2 to homework number 1. I'll get to skill number 3. Homework number 1 is every day. You can post it in the playground if you want. Every day, do your visualization about what's possible. And at the end of the visualization, you're going to say the words or better. Because you see, consciousness has a lot more resources than you do. So you have to be willing to imagine that something better than what you imagined could happen. Because what you imagined only came from your history and what you've seen on TV and all that kind of stuff. We are so up for the or better, aren't we? Okay. So every day I do that every morning. In fact, I do it so well that I do it about every meeting I'm going to have. I did it about this communion today together. I did it about my sweetie pie, did it about my puppy dog, did it about everything. But I do it also about my life and the world itself. That's where the idea for Agents of Awakening came from. You can use the hashtag Agents of Awakening, by the way. If you have stories that you want to post on the TWA Playground about things that are happening that are changing the world or people that are doing extraordinary things, post away and put Agents of Awakening, hashtag Agents of Awakening, and hashtag Be the Bridge. Okay? Okay. So the third skill, what is it? The third skill is you have to open your mouth about what you're doing. See, that's an easy one. It's so easy. Share the vision with people who are open to it. Just say, listen, I've been imagining this world and I've been taking action. So one of the actions you can take is to share the vision you have with at least one person every day. And in combination, I'm going to give you the second piece of homework. You must take an action every day. It could be find someone who's doing something similar and share it on a Facebook page or on Instagram. It could be, find someone who's doing something you really like, phone them up and say, how can I help you? I'm across the country. What can I do? Find a video on how to make masks and make one and send it to the hospital. Write a thank you card to your local hospital or your own personal doctor and thank him for his service, and to teachers. Take one action every day that makes someone else's world a better place. Okay? In Agents of Awakening, when we start it, we'll actually give you one small action every day. It'll be that easy. So, you guys, I hope our 3 days have been valuable. Please, if you already have ideas or you're already doing something extraordinary, share it on our TWA page, on our playground page. I'll put the link so you guys can join if you want. If you haven't liked us here or followed us here, please like and follow us here. We will post these videos on our YouTube page. We'll also be sending these out with the steps and homework through our newsletter called the Wide Awakening Weekly. There's something that will help you, a support document. It's called the 7 Steps to Living a Magnetic Life. It's all about this. And it's 7 ways you can change so that everything starts to come to you, and that future that you imagine can come to you more effortlessly, and how to take congruent actions. Okay, you can get it at thewideawakening.com, and I recommend that everybody gets it. thewideawakening.com/7 steps. I will also put that link in here. Okay, so if you have anyone in your life that has been feeling powerless, that has been feeling a little down, that gets into, let's say, complaining mode, or they can watch too much news, or they feel like they want to do something but they don't know where to start, send them this video, post it on your pages, get people to understand. I hope that this has been valuable and that you think it might be valuable to others. If there's a subject that we haven't covered here, make sure, and you think that you would really love to hear about it, we'll do future Facebook Lives. So make sure you suggest subjects. We love that. Share this post, pass it on. And I'm so grateful for you guys being here for the first, second, and third days. Pass them on and let us know how else we can serve you. All right. And we look forward to seeing you on the TWA playground and joining together to make this world and your world one of those places that activates a new potential. And I love you right back, Kim Yost. Long time no see. Thank you, everyone from the UK to Australia to New Zealand, from all over the world. So grateful that you came here and for all your beautiful comments. Can't wait to go in and start responding. Okay, everyone, lots of love. Bye for now.